your go-to podcast for the latest insights in the mortgage industry. Join us as we dive into expert advice, unveil actionable tips, and learn how to empower the next generation of homebuyers. Get ready to elevate your knowledge and make those property dreams a reality. Let's get started.
We are back
Come on.
again. Mortgages and More with Kyle and Brian, and special guest today, Abdel Khawatmi.
Boom.
Abdel with Got Mortgages, powered by PRMG. Abdel, man, thanks for coming on today.
Hey, I appreciate it. Super stoked for this one.
So, Kyle, a lot of times you and I do these, and each of us has some relationship with our guest, and I'm excited today because I know Abdel. He works with us here at FinLocker through PRMG. You don't know him except for the 5 minutes that we had on before we hit record here. And
Right.
I'm super excited, man, for you guys to kind of hit it off, because what I'm seeing Abdel do out there, particularly on social, is bring a lot of energy, but more importantly, bring a lot of information, a lot of education. And he is one of those next gen loan officers that we're talking about in this upcoming book. So let's get into it, man.
I'm excited for people to get to watch a bromance happen live in real time for all these beautiful people. So, Abdel, man, tell us first, for people that don't know you, like, how long have you been in the industry?
Yep. So got my license in 2018. So about 6 years ago, which is like 50 years in my playbook, dog years, right?
Yeah.
No doubt, man.
So went through the pre-COVID, COVID, post-COVID, started out part-time, my first literally year and a half. Then I think it was July of 2019, I had about 7 closings in 1 month. And then I'm like, wait, hold up. This is pretty cool. And then I think it was by September, I'm like, I'm going in full-time.
Wow.
And then a couple months later, I don't know if you guys have heard of coronavirus, maybe.
We didn't really have that.
Out there, right? But it came out, and then we lucked out. Everything worked out. My past life, I was in the legal field. I was actually going to law school, and then my wife gave birth to our daughter now, who's now 12, which is crazy. And so I had to make a decision: continue with law school or pursue, making money and supporting the family. We did that. Kind of fell into mortgages. I was running a PI firm, and these clients were getting their cases settled. And, you get a lump of cash. What are you trying to do? Buy a house. And I was the guy that was passing them off. Hey, call this guy. Hey, call this guy. And the common norm of every mortgage professional is they're not calling me back.
Yeah.
And then I'm sitting there trying to quarterback it. I'm like, wait, this mortgage thing is not really that hard. And then I ended up diving in, taking a class, and been with the same company since. So I've been with PRMG. I'm not the guy that's jumping up and about, KP, Paul, Robert, Gary, awesome support systems. Operations team is there, and we're cranking away every day.
Okay. So you've been doing this for a while, and I love your story, but your kind of expertise is in the world of social media, which a lot of our industry is continuing to run away from. And so talk to us about like that story, the story behind you're in mortgages. You probably weren't heavy on social media prior. And so what happened that caused you to go, whoa, why am I not spending more time in this world? Man, what'd that look like?
Yeah, so that's an awesome question. So, I've always thought, I've always had the experience of managing people and talking to people, right? Whenever we ran a private meeting, I'm only reaching that one person in front of me, right? Whether it was a client, whether it was a consumer. Being at the firm, we were also doing a lot of like bigger events, bigger seminars to doctors and chiros and PTs and stuff like that. So my reach is obviously further. Now, social media really, it's been around, but when we talk about Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, really haven't dabbled into Threads just because I think that's, there. But I think it picked up a lot of traction, around the last, I would say 5, 6, 7 years. And you'll see some of my old videos, man. I've been shooting video content for a long time, from when I first got started, and I look like about 150 pounds. Now I'm about 290. So I was a lot skinnier back then. And, I was doing it part-time when I started, right? So I was shooting video content part-time. I would drive to my branch and I would bring about 6 different suits, and we would shoot straight content for probably like 2-3 hours, and just bang them out and talk about FHA versus conventional and steps to the home buying process and do's and don'ts. And I had no idea what I was talking about. And you could hear it in the videos where I would constantly say something and be like, and so on and so forth, and so on and so forth. I really didn't know. I just knew, all right, FHA, there's 3.5. You can have a low credit score. MI, conventional, 700 plus this. But I did it, right? And it's funny how I started off first, with the fancy green screen in the back, and you made it pretty, and I was always in a suit and this and that. Dude, and then I started tracking and scaling, my engagement, putting a suit on or being always in my gear with the Got Mortgages gear and sweatpants and just shooting it, walking the dog, keeping it organic, grabbing my phone, no fancy green screen, no fancy backdrop. And I got so much more engagement because I was all super authentic with it.
Come on, man.
No teleprompter. I don't do the teleprompter. I always get my LOs to use Barry Habib's, shout out to MBS Highway, and use their teleprompter or use AI captions app. Or if you have no idea what you're talking about, literally go nowadays to AI and type in mortgage videos, and then boom, and then captions app will give you a so it's there. I think just the importance of putting it out there is the consistency behind it. So.
Okay, so Brian, let me ask you: do you want to ask questions during this episode? Because I have thousands.
Let it rip, man. This is your sweet spot.
So you jump in whenever you want, but I'll never lack for something else to ask about. So okay, I want to go because ChatGPT is a huge cheat code now for content creation. Most people are still afraid of it, and so I want to Abdel ask you about, like, before we had AI that essentially could create ideas for us, everybody's struggling still with, what do I talk about? I just don't know what to talk about. And I think that in our industry specifically, because mortgage content is so freaking boring, we convince ourselves that I can't put that content out there because it's not going to go viral and it's not going to be sexy and cool. And so I have 2 questions. One, how did you overcome early on the fact that talking about credit isn't really that cool on the internet, but you did it anyway? And then what was your process to consistently, because that's the word of the hour, come up with what to talk about?
So my go-to websites back then were like the core enemies, right? Zillow, Realtor.com, and whatever, right? And I would literally go to their blogs and I would read a recent blog that they put out, absorb it, and be like, all right, how do I explain this to my now 4-year-old son, right? Respectively, just like, how can I simplify this?
Yeah.
And then as you got more seasoned in the business, then you're like, all right, well, MBS Highway, that's my go-to in the morning. I'm like, a kid waiting for Barry and his team to put something out because, it's like, it's 9:30 and the data came out at 8:30. Why the hell are they taking so long? I'm trying to, using Mortgage News Daily, Market Watch, Housing Wire with Logan and the team, became a little bit more analytical.
Yeah.
But my shift to where I actually started seeing a lot more traction was, yes, education is key, FHA, conventional, do's and don'ts, blah, blah, blah. But when I started doing my market updates and really trying to simplify it as best as I can, and what the hell is going on with the Fed, and why is CPI being sticky like it did this week, and why is PPI coming in shit, and why did retail sales came down, so that's good, so rates went down, and then PPI came in shit, so now rates are up, right? It took me so long to understand that stuff. I mean, even now, 8:30 the data comes out, and I'm like, is this a good or bad thing? And then you're sitting there, and I literally have to do my research as to, like, all right, well, not to name news channels, but ABC News Channel is saying that this is bad. XYZ News Channel saying this is good. You know, whatever next is like, this is and I'm like, yo, is this good or bad? You know? So if we're confused at it and we're doing this day in, day out, absorbing the information, I can't imagine the consumer, you know? And that's where my focus truly started shifting. And now we do Monday market updates consistently, 6 p.m. I come on and I shoot it. We'll use MBS Highways newsletter, customize it, brand it, put it out there, share the content. And then Wednesday, I do Wednesday Wins, where it's a client scenario. Hey, I just did an FHA single unit condo approval. Do you guys know what that is? No? Well, let me explain it to you. And then just keep doing it consistently. So
I do have a question, Kyle. You gotta let me in, man.
You're the boss, man. Jump in.
So I think I know the answer to this, because what you just talked about, you sound like you know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I hope so.
And you said at the onset you didn't know what you were talking about when you started. So I wonder how much of you prepping to go on a video has actually helped you be a better loan officer technically.
I mean, listen, it's you know, the world of mortgages, it's just absorbing the information and then simplifying it, right? That's what I found, especially with guidelines, right? I mean, I literally read the HUD handbook 4001 like detailed. I dove into Fannie Mae guidelines, which are constantly changing, right? I have to now update some of my let's stick figure content. Like some of my content were like differences between FHA conventional. Everybody knew FHA 3.5, multis conventional 15.25. And I'm like, shit, that's changed now. Now 5. So I'm like, now I gotta tell my team. I've got my team of ISAs, virtual assistants. Now I gotta tell them, yo, hey, when you're customizing this flyer for my team of loan officers, you know, make sure the conventional now you put 5%. And really staying on top of that stuff. I think making a bunch of mistakes right along the way. That's why I tell my loan officers all the time, you're gonna make a million mistakes. And that's the only way you're going to learn. And it was the same way with content too, right? Where now I started seeing putting the article behind you, you know, gets more traction. I just started, you know, within the last 2-3 weeks, putting the cover photo of an Instagram reel. And I knew I had to do it. And I would always just get a snippet from the video and then just, you know, move the cursor to get it. Until I started actually putting a cover photo from the video itself with a nice tagline, I started seeing the analytics go up, right? And like anything in our business, right? You got to scale it, whether you're going after referral partners or you're doing social media or you're doing content. Instagram and Facebook, they do an awesome job of giving us the analytics. Are you just going in there or are you just posting just to post? So, yeah.
So I want to touch on a couple things that you said. One, what Brian asked and Abdel, what you answered is there's so much power in not just learning to learn, but learning to teach.
100%.
Because learning to teach forces us to create application to the knowledge. And so I think that's where a lot of LOs are missing out is you fast-tracked your ability to speak this language because from the very beginning, you were learning to teach and not just learning to absorb. And so I think that's wildly important for people to understand that are listening and watching this podcast. The second thing you mentioned is you mentioned green screen video, which we didn't say those words. So I want to make sure that the people listening, when he says, I had, the article behind me, that's a green screen feature in Instagram and TikTok. It's super simple to do. You pick the feature, you upload the image. It's done. You don't need a literal green screen, guys. Okay. Like we've moved beyond this stuff. So I just wanted to, like you said, take it to the 4-year-old level to make sure we're not speaking over everybody's heads.
No, I love it.
All right. So, bro, now give us a little bit of practical, but then give us a little bit of advanced, and really you just give us what you want when it comes to best practices for video.
Try to look like you didn't just roll out of bed, right?
Good. Get the eye boogers out of your face.
Rep your brand, right? I don't want to see you in a suit. Rep your brand. If you don't have a t-shirt, go to a corner, marketing store and get a couple printed.
Yeah.
Because people want to see who you are, right? They'll remember that. This is all I wear, Got Mortgages. And
I love it.
We've got t-shirts, polos, the baseball.
Can I have one?
Sleeves. Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Blue, orange, gray, black, white. I did. My wife and I ended up buying a heat press and a Cricut printer, and I customized the t-shirts for the clients when we close. And it says Got Mortgages, and in the back it's got their last name, and it says just close with the gorilla. Again, I'm a 296.2 dude and not a small guy. Just close with the gorilla. People are like, who the fuck is this guy? Right? And then on there, it's my website. People are, you give them a $60 bottle of Moet or whatever, they may not drink, so that's offending. Or they may necessarily just drink it and then completely forget about it. Right?
100%.
If I give you a t-shirt that's got your last name on it, you're gonna rep it.
So good. So good, man.
Started doing that stuff. But truly with videos. So, and then it's knowing actually what you're going to talk about. So like I just posted a video maybe a couple seconds ago about the PPI numbers, the producer price index numbers, the CPI numbers, and then obviously the my spin to it. So my videos before used to be like 5 minutes long because I had so much to talk about. And then I'm like, all right, well, I'm starting to notice the engagement drop. Again, the importance of tracking the analytics. And Instagram does such a great job of showing you, all right, well, by this point, you lost 90% of the people, 10% of people heard. So now I try to constantly cut it short. Then I would cut it to 1:30 because I can boost it under 1:30. Anything over 1:30, I couldn't boost. And then I started saying, shit, people are losing after a minute. So now I really try to keep it a minute, really 30 seconds. But by the time I even say what I have to say and then explain it, I'm like over the 30-minute mark. So we kind of did that. And then right now I just use simply Captions is the app. It's literally called Captions.
It's my favorite app.
Yeah. It's super, super easy to use. It's got the teleprompter. It's got a built-in AI. I don't really use it for the content purposes because I think we're just giving live scenarios, live examples. So it's easy for me to come up off the rip. Listen, if you're a loan officer who's reading off the teleprompter, so what, dude? You'll eventually get off of that.
Right.
But get the content out. Right. So, don't be afraid to put content out there. That cliche saying of, I don't like how I sound. Dude, that's how you sound, right? Who cares? And I have to fight myself, because the passion and the energy kicks in. And then, I got a sailor's mouth. So which I already slipped a couple times. But I don't do it when people get to know me eventually. You're like, all right, this guy's not doing it to be offending. He's doing it truly because he gives a shit. Right. And he wants to get it done. And I'll fight, man. I mean, with transactions and stuff, I fight for the client. If PRMG has been awesome with whatever I needed. We need an exception for ABC. We needed this. We needed that. Robert, Michelle, Vicky, they've always been there, giving us whatever we needed. And we take it from there. So
shout out PRMG, built by originators for originators. These are, Robert and Paul were in the trenches, writing loans decades ago. And the company, the culture is just, it's phenomenal.
It's unparalleled, man. I mean, and I'm not saying it just to toot their horn because they know me, but we get approached like anything, right? From every single company, consumer direct, retail, broker, the whole shebang. And I'm like, listen, man, at the end of the day, I'm the one who's up. So it's my job to make the content. I also own a mortgage licensing school with the Department of Banking and Insurance, getting loan officers licensed throughout the entire nation. I don't promote it too much because it's already streamlined and it's there, because I'm not that jack of all trades, master of none. I did it obviously as a massive recruiting tool and at the same time providing value. And I've got other mortgage companies and branch managers sending their originators to us, and I do a non-compete with them just for legality. But I tell them, like, yo, the person you're coming to, dude, stud, stud branch manager, you're going to be hooked up, you're going to be taken care of. And then we're truly teaching them, the reality of what it takes, not just to pass the exam and learn RESPA, TILA, all the other stuff, Dodd-Frank Act. What does that mean? Which gave me a little bit of a competitive advantage because my when I passed, I took it Monday to Friday, took the exam Saturday, passed, went into the office Monday working. Because I was like, shit, I just got a kid, you know what I mean? And I just left a guaranteed gig of making well over 250, 300 to dive into the shitty world of mortgages. Like, what am I doing? So yeah, but you know, when it comes to content and videos, dude, just grab your camera, turn the screen, shoot it. If it sounds like shit, take it again, right? I even would tell you, don't even like read too much into it because it's never gonna be perfect.
And it doesn't matter.
I wanna take a left turn and get technical for a second, because Caption's your favorite app. Caption's my favorite app. Brian, do you use Captions?
Not yet, but I noted it.
How dare you? So Abdel, I wanna compare the tech stack inside of Captions to show people how you use it and how I use it, so that they can kind of have because you know, you get into an app and there's 50 buttons. Yeah. And I only push about 4 of them.
Yeah.
And so I want to tell you real fast how I do it, and then I want to know how you do it, just so people can have a very touchable, you know, a way to jump into this app. So I record my video on my camera roll. I load it into Captions. The first thing I do is I now they have templated captions already. Mm-hmm. So I hit templates. I pick the style I like of the words on the screen, and then you can change the color if you want. And then I go to the trim button, because there's an AI trim that will find filler words, pauses. And so I don't have to trim the beginning and end of my video in my camera roll anymore. I load it in raw to Captions, and it boom, boom, takes the end and the beginning, all that stuff. Usually there's 3 to 5 trims for me. And then instantly it's trimmed and it feels super edited. Then I go to the denoiser.
Oh, yeah.
And I apply the AI noise tool. And people, you can be walking on a busy street with horns and traffic and wind, and it literally turns your video into you having recorded it in a studio. And I think...
And you can put background music too.
Yeah, so I don't even typically add background music. So that's all I do. What is your process in Captions look like?
So put it to you this way. It's as easy as, I can't even say a 12-year-old doing it, because they're probably better at this stuff than I am.
No doubt. They 100% are.
But my daughter has been doing them for me over the last...
It's even a better answer.
When you actually see the GIFs, if you probably, I don't know if some of you guys, some of like my recent ones have had GIFs there. Where it's like the meme, I guess memes or whatever, where they're actually coming out.
Yep.
She's the one doing that, because I don't have the freaking time for that. Right? I just want to get the content out. But it's literally as simple as a 12-year-old doing it, which nowadays doesn't mean anything, because they're probably better than us at it, right? But take the video on my cell phone, do the exact same thing, import it, and then, you know, pick the template, pick the caption, denoise, music, and then, you know, look at the emojis sometimes, because it automatically puts in the emojis too. Edit it if I have to, and keep it moving, right?
Easy.
There's a lot of built-in other stuff in there too.
Yeah.
Like, I did one time, I think it was last year, I shot a video in English and talk about tech, and it can translate what you're saying into Spanish, every language. But I did one where I literally shot a video in English, uploaded it, asked it to translate it from English to Spanish. It articulated everything I said, and then it now plays and does the captions in Spanish.
Amazing.
So cool.
Crazy. Another really, really cool part is like this video, when we put this out, and we're running at a few minutes now, right? I'm not going to sit there and be like, when the hell did I say ABC or XYZ? You can upload it to YouTube, right? The full video. Take the YouTube link and plug it in there, and then it actually cuts it for you. It finds its own, you know, top 5, I think it is, cuts it for you, and then you could pick whichever ones you want, and then automatically it imports into the captions and you do your thing.
Brilliant.
There's that. The AI built in, if you ask it whatever, it can tell you whatever you want to talk about, and literally spit it out, and then you could hit a button, teleprompter, and boom. And if you already know what you're going to talk about, or you found an article on CNBC or Housing Wire or something, you want to sound kind of smart, you want to talk stats and you can't remember it, copy, paste it, put it in there, turn the teleprompter app on, and it lets you go sideways, up, slow, fast, down, hit the button, done.
So great.
So good. Bro, I could do this for an hour.
Yeah, this was a masterclass right here.
Because I love this stuff and I love what you're doing. So let's not do that. We'll save this for part 2. Bro, tell people how they find you, and then Brian, get us out of here.
Yep. So Abdel Khawatmi, gotmortgages.com, Got Mortgages on Instagram, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. I've got a YouTube channel. I think we're at close to almost 450 videos, short snippets with all the Monday market updates, Wednesday market updates, and packed videos in place. Phone numbers 201-679-0422. And we're cranking away, man. Busy market, slow market, put content out there. People are looking for it. Right. Find yourself a trusted organization. If you're a mortgage professional, who's there, and come out there teaching too. I mean, I didn't mention this, but I literally have 30 different teams every 2 weeks that I meet with 7:30, 8:30, 9:30 daily. And we're going over market update, sales tidbit, market update, sales tidbit. So you got to come off as the, not just, hey, you got a deal, feed me. No, I want to help teach you, Mr. and Mrs. Realtor, respectfully, how can I integrate my resources and build systems in place to allow you the ability to succeed, and we crank away from there.
Awesome stuff,
bro. I love it. It's a 26-minute masterclass right there, guys, on what it takes to be a next-gen loan officer. Abdel, thanks, man. Thank you so much for coming on. Kyle, always good to spend time with you here.
Of course.
See you guys next time.
Later, boys.
Boom.